You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, I'm Steven Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. He is Brantley Sanderson, and he is here to update us, if you haven't been paying attention, on the Ole Miss Lady Rebels and what Coach Yo is doing. Brantley, how you doing, man? It's been a while since we talked.
I know, man. It's good to be back. I'm excited to talk about what's been going on in basketball land.
Yeah, and, football season, we were all in the whole time this season, and there's been a couple of months of the basketball season that people might have not been paying attention to or missed. What has the Ole Miss basketball program looked like? I saw they had a close loss in Paris to USC. They lost to UConn. Those some big out-of-conference matchups for the Lady Rebels. What does this basketball team look like overall, though?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to kind of take a step back and look at where the program has been for the past few years to really understand how things are going so far. I think it's kind of a new era, or the modern era of Ole Miss women's basketball, when getting to the NCAA tournament is no longer enough. That's become an expectation, given they've been 3 years in a row. We got a taste of the Sweet 16 a couple seasons ago, and I think we all want that again. So, coming into this season, I really wasn't sure what to expect. We were bringing back some players, like Maddie Scott. If football fans, you could probably equate her to Jackson Dart. She's been the face of the program. This has been her 5th year now, so I know the team was really built around her. And one thing that was different this year, Coach Yo, as you said, really scheduled hard in the non-conference. 2 Final Four teams from last year. One of them was our first game in Paris, like you said. Took them to the wire. We had a chance to win at the end of the game, but we turned it over on the inbound with, I think, 5 seconds left. And I swear if we had gotten that ball in, we would have made the shot and won. I just felt that we were going to do that. But another UConn, you mentioned them. Not many teams can say they held on, and gave UConn a shot like we did. So, there's been some really great moments and a lot of promise and potential, but it's January and they haven't quite put it all together. There's been glimpses of it, against the first 2 SEC games against Auburn and Vandy. SEC women's basketball is just as competitive as the men's side, if not more. So when you beat 2 really good teams by 30 plus points, one on their home court, you've got something good. But then you turn around and you lose a game that you were up by 16 at half on the road. And then, Alabama came in Sunday, and that was kind of a tough pill to swallow because usually we lose the game because we can't score. This time we lost the game because we didn't defend well enough, which is unlike this program. So, we really had to take the good with the bad, and watch this team learn and evolve and grow. And they're still doing that. They, as much as they returned a lot of great pieces, there's a lot of new pieces. So again, it's an interesting time to be a fan with the expectations that are around the program. 8,000 people came to the game on Sunday, and the crowd was, you could hear them really into it. So, like I said, it's a new day when we have this level of expectations, but I think sometimes there's that transition when you got to meet those expectations. And I think they're all figuring out, how to do that now.
Do you think this basketball team can hit their ceiling, all the expectations that everybody's going? You mentioned all the new pieces. Do you think this basketball team, by the time they get to March, this could be a unit that's clicking on all cylinders?
Yeah, that's, I got my red and blue beer goggles on, but that's certainly the hope. You just hope that these games, when we're figuring it out and we leave one on the table, that it doesn't come back to haunt us at the end of the season. But this team, no question, is the most talented team that Coach O has had, top to bottom. I worked with the team in 2007 when we went to the Elite Eight with Armintie Price. So I've been thinking a lot about that team and how they compare to this year. I think this team is more talented. I think this team is deeper, and this team has more scoring options. But there's a lot of maturity to put the offense and defense together at the pace and the way that they play for 40 minutes. That's really hard. And again, some of the new pieces. There is a freshman. Her name is Sierra. She is by far the most talented freshman I have seen come to Ole Miss. She is more talented. I think she has more talent than Armintie did when she came. She's just poised. She can score. She can defend. She's 6'2". She's lengthy. There's very little that she can't do as a freshman. And I think she's only going to get better. The team is also, I think, similar in that they don't have a huge, imposing post presence. We didn't either in 2007, but it didn't matter because we were fast, we rebounded, and we turned the ball over. And I think when the team starts putting that together and really makes that their identity, that's going to cause them to click on all cylinders. Last night, the men's at Alabama, they won that game because of their defense. Of course you got to score to win, but like Coach O keeps saying that once they grow up and realize that is who they are and they've got to be that for 40 minutes every game, then I think you're going to see them really make some noise in March.
All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen. When we come back, we will talk to Brantley about what Ole Miss fans need to know as the calendar turns to February and into March, and what exactly is the mood around the team right now. But first, I do want to let you know that this message is brought to you by Prize Picks. It is the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prize Picks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's playoffs or regular season, Prize Picks makes it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all of the football action. Now that it's playoff time, there's no better way to get in on the action than Prize Picks. Here's how it works. Simply pick more or less on at least 2 players. And if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Yes, that's right. 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. For me, it was all about hot takes this season. This week on Prize Picks, I'm looking at Lamar Jackson for more than 250 passing yards and Travis Kelce for more than 70 receiving yards. It's fun to predict and easy to play. Plus, with Prize Picks Flex Play, you can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you get the winnings fast, sometime in as little as 15 minutes. So ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 just for playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. The NFL playoffs are here, and it's not too late to get in on the regular season or the postseason action with FanDuel, I should say, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many different ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's thrilling. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so Brantley, before we get started, what do you think the mood is around this team right now? You mentioned a couple. Ole Miss, the Lady Rebs had a bad week with a loss, I think, at Texas A&M and against Alabama. And the Texas A&M game, like you said, they were up by 20 points nearly at halftime. So what is the mood right now going into February for this team?
Well, I'm from the outside looking in. I can sense some frustration with themselves. One thing that I think is really great about this team is they have the highest GPA of any Ole Miss women's basketball team, in period. They've got multiple players with 4.0, 3.8, 3.9. This is a very, very, very smart group of women. Just listening to 2 of the senior guards in their press conference yesterday they had, they're very thoughtful. They're very insightful. They don't give the typical, short answers to questions. Like, you can tell that they are really in tune with the game and who they are and what the team needs. So I know they're going to figure it out. It's just hard to do that in the SEC. I mean, there is, there's just no night off. It can come down to one shot, one possession, one decision. And I think they're feeling that they were so close so many times, whether it was UConn or NC State. I forgot the third team that we play. Oh, yeah, USC at the beginning of the season. There's a feeling of missed opportunities, that they've been in position to make a statement. Because I think until we've reached so much success over the past few years that the one thing that has eluded us is that big win, kind of like the men's team last night. The win against the top tier elite teams in the conference to really make some noise. I do believe that they've got what it takes to get there, because it's not a talent thing, it's not a system thing, it's just deciding. You really just have to. I remember, our team that went to the Elite Eight, we did that because we had 3 seniors who decided this is the way we're going to do things, and they held each other accountable. Because coaches can only do so much. So I think they're not hanging their heads by any means. But I'm ready. I know they're going to fight back, and I hope they figure it out sooner rather than later, because I'm thinking about seeding, for the tournament. And I know going into the season we wanted to be a top 4 seed. We made it a little challenging on ourselves, but we still got 2 months, so I don't think that's off the table.
So what do you think Ole Miss fans need to know going into February and into March as we're hitting this home stretch of the basketball season? What do Ole Miss fans need to know?
Well, if you haven't been to a game, you got to go. Like, this is such an exciting team. They're so much fun to watch. They play hard. They score, which we all like as fans. And home court advantage means everything in this conference. You got to win your home games. And the crowd is such a huge part of that. There's a big weekend coming up. I think it's next weekend, the 50th anniversary. This is the 50th anniversary of the program. So they're doing a big alumni weekend. I'm going to actually be there. And they're playing Texas, which is a top 5 team. They'll be challenging for a Final Four. That needs to be a sellout. We need to have 9,000 plus in that gym. We are, like I said, we are just so close. I don't know what the thing is necessarily that's going to get us over that hump, but when they do get over that hump, fans are going to want to be there to see it, because, they've done a lot to engage in the community, to really build relationships, not just, having fans come to the game, but really knowing who they stay on the court after the game and take photos. The fans know these players very well. So if you're not watching the games or showing up, you're really missing something. This could be one of the best teams of the year on campus, when we've had some really good teams. So I encourage everyone to be a part of that and show up next weekend against Texas.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Brantley Sanderson, thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Thank you, Steve.